Hi, Mike and Arlen, our Philippine journey. Hey, welcome. The differences between young YouTubers and older YouTubers. And how does it impact you, or does it? And then finally, what makes it different? Is it really as different as you think it is? Hey, we're going to get into that right now, and we're going to try and answer some of those questions.
I never got it, why'd you have to go? I guess this world's too slow for you. I think there's beauty in the gray, the cold, but you just want the gold. And there's no way I can beat it, cause I got no chance, no chance when it comes to her. She got the glitter and the fame, and I just wasn't enough.
So, you know what? It's been apparent over the past, I don't know, maybe 12, 18 months, the influx since pandemic ended of younger YouTubers coming onto the scene. And then even during pandemic, we saw a lot of younger YouTubers coming onto the scene. Why not? They're trapped at home. But what's the real difference between them here in the Philippines? And does it make a difference? Well, we think it does make a difference, but we're not sure that's a negative in any way, shape, or form. In fact, I would venture to say it's a positive. Okay? Yes, they don't have. Let's look at a difference between what they are and what they aren't, and what we are and what we aren't. We grew up in a very technology limited society and time. We didn't have the internet when I was in my 20s. Well, we did, but I mean, AOL, chat group. We didn't have anything in comparison to what we have now. Okay. We didn't grow up with that as a kid. We didn't grow up with TikTok. We didn't grow up with YouTube. We were already maturing adults at that point in time. Our travels were much different. They were based on different things. In fact, I would venture to say that our travels were more limited than that of the younger generation on the scene right now. I would say that our goals were much different. Many of the older generation of YouTubers, and I would say those over 55, okay, many of them are or were veterans or military personnel who traveled by virtue of the military, holding their hand. This is your ticket. Here you go. You're going from point A to point B. There's somebody there to pick you up. You're going to go to the base. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. New YouTubers, younger generation, they book their own tickets. They fight and scramble for the best way to get from point A to B. They don't have free housing as a young man in most instances that I know of. Okay. They have to plan for that. They have to organize that. They have to feed themselves. Younger military members did not. Now, I'm not saying there weren't people that didn't backpack across the world and backpack across Asia and Europe, but it was different. Certainly different. And nowhere near the volume that you see now. Attitudes. Attitudes are vastly different. One of the things that the younger generation may not take into account or may not put value or as much value in or what we think should be value. You see, that's the difference. What's valuable to them and what's valuable to us are different. But one of the things is the experience that older YouTubers have. It may be an experience that has nothing to do with anything that they want. And their goals may not have anything to do with what interests us. And so you see there's a dynamic there. This doesn't make one group any less than another or any better than the other, because people are individual and generations are definitely changing. So with that being said, why isn't there a value placed in younger people? Why isn't there a value placed on younger channels? They can be, we've had controversial old man YouTube channels for ages, just like there are controversial young men and women channels. What makes them any different than the old guys were 10, 15 years ago? What makes, I think one of the things that we look at is attitude. Younger generations display and voice their opinions in a much different manner sometimes. Now, older people may sometimes take that opinion and their communication of that opinion in a negative fashion. Younger generations, that may be just the way they talk about it. Isn't it sometimes just an issue of you or I even not having grown up and understanding the differences in verbal and physical cues? That's kind of my point here. My point with all of this is simply there are young people starting to bring forth information on their lives in the Philippines. And I think that's good. Maybe it's a life we don't agree with. Maybe it's an entire situation we don't agree with. Who knows? But does it matter? Isn't it their life? Isn't it the way they do things? And aren't they going to be successful based on what they present? It's not us or up to us to decide whether they should or shouldn't be successful. And it's not up to us to decide what is the right direction they need to head in. It's actually up to us to offer, whether they accept it, want it, like it, or pay any attention to it, a bit of advice. And that's just the way old people are. We like giving advice, okay? And our advice doesn't fit everybody. And we need to recognize that our advice doesn't fit everybody. At the same time, they need to recognize that their advice may not be, like a completed picture, because older guys are going to sit there and say you don't have the experience. Older guys are going to say all kinds of stuff, just like younger guys are going to defend it. It's my life. I'm going to live it the way I want to live it. And I live within these terms. Both generations need to accept these types of things. Both generations need to understand and learn from each other, because I think, we've always told people, watch every channel that has content that you're interested in, whether you agree with that content or not. And the reason that you watch them is because within that content, there may be something that applies to you more so than not. And if it doesn't, then you need to be mature enough, smart enough, and adult enough to just discard it because it doesn't apply. I mean, it just is the way it is. There's value in every YouTuber, just like there's value in every generation. Now, whether you accept it or not is a whole different story. Tell us what you think about that. And while you're doing that, please do subscribe and hit that thumbs up. We'd certainly appreciate it. and we hope you have a great day. Comments below.